Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of where they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samalin. I'm the principal of Samalin Wealth, an award-winning wealth management firm for lawyers, law firms, and their clients. And let's applaud lawyers who care and learn from them. Today, my special guest is Caitlin Boehne of Kaplan Law Firm, and Caitlin is located in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and practices employment law. Welcome, Caitlin.
Thank you for having me, Andrew.
So tell me about your law firm and tell us how you got started with the law.
Sure. So the Kaplan Law Firm is a champion for employee rights and civil justice. We have offices in Texas, Illinois, and New Mexico. And we handle most employment law matters for workers, whether that's overtime violation, whistleblower retaliation, wrongful termination, any variety of discrimination you can think of, race, age, gender, religion, you name it. We also have a docket of civil rights cases where we are fighting back against police brutality and to advance reproductive rights. And the way that I came to the law, I was interested in being a lawyer as a very young, opinionated child. But it wasn't until I was in college and doing some activism related to social justice that I realized, I can make the two of these work together. I can use, my anticipated career in law to further social good. And so employment law, employment is one of those fairly universal experiences in our modern society. And when it goes well, it can really help individuals and their families advance and live happy, healthy lives. But when it goes wrong and you are cheated out of wages or fired because of your race, age, or pregnancy, it can be really catastrophic. So the stakes here in this area of law are really high. And representing employees is something that gives me great pride, to be on the side of David versus Goliath. And along the way, it's very satisfying to try to rectify just the power disparities that exist in our broader society.
So you've seen these cases and I don't know, you're trying cases or?
Yes.
Okay. So I think when we started, you mentioned that there'd be a great story that you wanted to share. Do you want to share that with everyone?
Sure. Yeah. So last year, a woman came to our firm who had just been fired, and she was in the early stages of her pregnancy. She and her husband struggled to get pregnant. They had to use fertility treatments in order to get pregnant. And she had taken a new job at a call center. And was in training for that new job when she learned, this good news, she was pregnant. So shortly after she announced her pregnancy, her supervisor wrote her up for leaving her desk too often to use the restroom. And after a coaching session with him a few weeks later, he told her that she really needed to use, fewer restroom breaks, and he suggested that she, quote, hold it. When she, was experiencing extreme morning sickness and asked for the day off, that request was denied. She even had trouble getting time off to attend her very first ultrasound appointment with her doctor, and was initially told that if she wanted to take that time off, that she would be penalized under the company's attendance policy. So, she came to us, booked an appointment with our office right after she had been terminated. And we worked with her to file a charge of pregnancy discrimination, and ultimately helped her resolve her claim to her satisfaction. Where this takes an interesting turn, and where I went above and beyond, is kind of funny. So, for her, what happened to her was definitely illegal pregnancy discrimination because she was treated differently than her non-pregnant counterparts. who needed bathroom breaks and time off for being sick and doctor's appointments. And so we could show, hey, this supervisor had an animosity towards her because of her pregnancy. But the wild thing is that she was fired just before a new federal law took effect. Sorry about that.
And even the dog, by the way, the dog is outraged by what that employer
You
has done.
know, he knows that pregnant workers need legal protections, and this is his celebratory, like, rah, rah, rah for the Congress that decided, you know, we need to get a law in place that really goes above and beyond to protect pregnant workers, or really just does the basics that employers are failing to do. And so this new law that took effect is called the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. And it requires employers to provide basic accommodations, such as additional restroom breaks, time off, or adjusted work schedules when you have morning sickness, lets people like have maybe a later start time, and, you know, basic time off to attend prenatal doctor's appointments. So, you know, very, very basics, without having to show, oh, here's a non-pregnant worker that gets, you know, similar accommodations and I'm being denied. You can just ask an employer, hey, I need time off for a doctor's appointment, and they have to provide reasonable accommodations to you for your pregnancy. So in Texas, where this worker was located, the governor sued to stop this law. And that case is on appeal right now before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. And when I was given an opportunity to write an amicus brief in this case, my client, even though we'd already resolved her case, you know, she was very supportive of sharing her story with the appellate court through my amicus brief, to just show how much these very basic legal protections are sorely needed. So I wrote that amicus brief and submitted it to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals for her and for other pregnant workers who are really lacking these basic considerations in the workplace when they're denied by their employers.
And how long does that go through the system, or how long does it take until, you know, it becomes?
Yeah, so the case is still pending on appeal. The Fifth Circuit has received a briefing on this issue, and it is not clear. Judges don't like being put on a clock, so there's really no telling when they'll rule on this. And after they do rule, it's possible that you know, the non-prevailing party would appeal this to the Supreme Court. So I think it might be a little bit of a long road to hoe, but we are definitely still waiting for that decision.
So everyone, this is the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast. Today, my guest is Caitlin Boehne of the Kaplan Law Firm. Caitlin has multiple offices in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and other locales. She focuses on she practices employment law. Caitlin, so that people can get in touch with you, could you share some of your contact information?
Sure. Yeah, so my phone number is 505-433-7427, and I can be reached by email at cboehne@kaplanlawatx.com.
Can you repeat that?
Yes. So the phone number is 505-433-7427. And my email address is CB as in boy, OEHN as in Nicole, E at KAPLANLAWATX.com.
Gotcha. And they can find you in LinkedIn and other social platforms?
Yes.
Wonderful. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're an attorney or know one that might be appropriate, feel free to reach out to us at 914-666-6600. Number again, 914-666-6600. Caitlin, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.